All right, let's bring in our Monday panel. Daily Telegraph columnist Joe Hildebrand and Director of Headline Advisory Andrew Carswell. Great to see you both.
Love to be here.
Joe, I should say, Daily columnist and fill-in on TGB at the moment for Deb Knight.
I am indeed, yes, for my sins. That's right. I'm basically doing every single media job in Australia.
Right
if
now.
those millennials try to take one away from me, I'll fight to the death.
Well, yeah, I've been talking on the show tonight about families struggling to make ends meet and they have to do 4 jobs
It's
each.
because of me. It's all because of me. I am the skills crisis.
Now, Donald Trump Jr., the former president's eldest son, he's set to arrive in Australia this week for a promotional speaking tour. Protests and demonstrations have been planned, but there's even some calls for his visa to be revoked or cancelled. A writer for The Australian, Troy Bramston, says that Trump should not be granted a visa to enter Australia because he fails multiple character test requirements under the Migration Act. Trump is an anti-democrat, he writes, who encouraged the overturning of an election. He also says that he's a conspiracy theorist who spread misinformation about the COVID pandemic and that he leads an organisation found guilty of tax fraud and document falsification. I mean, it's basically an article reiterating all the CNN and MSNBC talking points. Joe Hildebrand, you've done your Daily Telegraph column on this topic today for tomorrow's paper. Do you think Donald Trump Jr. should have his visa revoked?
No, I don't. And I think this is the first time in history I've actually ever disagreed with Troy Bramston. Troy's obviously very smart. He knows his politics. I don't think he said anything that was actually wrong in the article. There's clearly more than enough grounds for his visa to be revoked by the Home Affairs.
Many things that a lot of people would dispute.
Ministers, many they would, but obviously that's why the minister has discretion. But no, I don't think it should be, precisely for that reason, because if you've got someone who says there's a deep state or there's a conspiracy among elites to shut down these views or to stop people from expressing ideas that don't align with political correctness, for example, if you say, well, sorry, you can't come in here and say those views, then you're actually playing right into their hands. You're actually confirming that conspiracy theory, and you're making a martyr out of someone who, quite frankly, should be able to come here, say whatever he wants to say. If people want to laugh it off, fine. If people want to actually believe it, it's a free country. But I'm always, I always think, failing, incitement to violence, free speech has to prevail.
Andrew Carswell, I mean, there are a lot of people who are denied entry to Australia, but this is the president's son, and I don't think that a lot of the points that are in that article are at all accurate. What's your view?
Well, Sharri, if you're talking about threats to democracy or failing the character test, then TRUMP is a funny way to spell Hunter Biden. I mean, you're going to throw a punch at those that are a threat to democracy, then I think you picked the wrong mischievous, privileged son of a president.
Why are you saying why are you saying Biden is a threat to democracy, though?
I think it's pretty clear with what he's going through at the moment, and in terms of what he's covered up.
Yes.
But in terms of Donald J, the only thing Donald Jr. is guilty of is being a goose, shooting his mouth off, and having a tanty when Dad lost the White House. That is not a threat to democracy. And I agree with Joe. Enough of the muzzling of political views. Feel free to disagree, but don't ban.
Yeah, I think the attempt to link him to the January 6th riots is a bit of a stretch. I mean, fine, Donald Trump, you can argue, but his son didn't incite the rioters.
No, but I think he did. But I think he did tweet after the election result, we should go to war over this or something like that. So, obviously they're provocative words. But again, if my dad had just lost an election, I'd probably tweet something angry too if I wasn't smart enough to get off Twitter. But again, even if people say these crazy things, it's not. The question is not is what he said crazy. The question is, should you be able to say crazy things and still expect some degree of freedom of expression, as long as you're not saying, people should be killed or whatever.
But again, the claim, that he was guilty of COVID misinformation, well, a lot of the things that people called misinformation are now coming unstuck, and
as
may
you
as
would
well
know.
be
Yeah, that's
true.